Troy, why are you making such a big deal out of this? Randolph isn't my favorite. It wasn't that great, and it was just for sex. I made one big mistake. I've been married for 10 years. Give me a break. It was just once. It's not worth getting a divorce over. Think about how a divorce would affect your relationship with our daughter. Just go cool off somewhere. We can talk later. I had been dismissed, and her words kept echoing in my mind. It was just once. Like anything that happens once isn't that important. I didn't feel like arguing with her. In fact, I didn't feel much of anything after she admitted to her one-time fling with her boss. I left to figure out what to do next. She called out to me as I was leaving. Troy, do you want me to wait up so we can talk more? No, Constance? I don't know when or if I'll be back. Seriously, what's with all the drama? It was just one time. We've been intimate hundreds of times. Get over it and stop overreacting. I quietly left. Even though I would have preferred a drink to help me deal with this, I wanted to keep my mind sharp so I could plan my response carefully. For 3 days, I stayed in a motel, avoiding phone calls and not telling anyone where I was. It was time for me to act. Meanwhile, Constance woke up in a strange place, her mind still foggy. She realized that she had been drugged. She looked around at the old basement stone walls, cold, dark, damp, and moldy. It smelled like wet dog. There were no windows and just one door which was closed. A single light bulb hung down at the end of a cord from the middle of the ceiling. There was an empty chair across from her. She was sitting in a chair like that one. There was no other furniture in the room. Her feet were taped to the legs of the chair, and her wrists were taped to the arms. She was nude and freezing. Constance had no clue who had kidnapped her or why. There was no substantial amount of money in the household. Nor did either she or her husband work in jobs with any governmental or industrial secrets. She briefly thought it might be Troy, but quickly dismissed the idea. He would never do anything as cruel as this. She wondered if he had gotten a ransom note for her. Then she wondered if Troy would pay it. Suddenly, she heard a man scream from another area of the basement. Her first guess was that someone had Troy and was torturing him. But for what? Nothing made sense. Constance tried to escape from her bonds, but her efforts were futile. She could do nothing but shiver and wait. Connie wasn't sure how much time had passed since she awoke, but eventually the door opened and in came Troy. He was dressed in the clothes he usually wore when he knew he was getting dirty with yard work or fooling around with his car. He had a big gym bag with him that looked heavy the way he was carrying it. Son of a bitch. Okay, Troy, you've had your fun. I get it that you're pissed off at me. I appreciate your creativity, but be careful not to push things too far or you'll regret it. Connie, this is the first time you've ever threatened me. Clearly, first-time events don't mean much to you. That's what I want to discuss. I hope I have your attention. I remember the first time I saw you at the student grill when you were with your boyfriend. I fell in love with you instantly. To me, that was very important. It took me a lot of time, effort, and money to woo you and eventually ask you to marry me. That was the first time I had ever asked a girl to marry me. I was on top of the world. I don't remember much about the wedding. I was too excited about you agreeing to be my wife. A wife who was agreeing to be with me richer or poorer, sickness and in health. And most importantly, forsaking all others. I'm sure that was the first time either of us promised to be faithful to another person, as long as we both shall live. I was the most anxious I had ever been that evening. More than any man had ever made love to his wife. That was what I wanted to do to you. I heard every whimper you let out. I observed every movement your body made in reaction to my touches. The first lady I ever had sex with. I made love to. I was in disbelief at my luck. Soon we had our first house. Before long, we had our first and only child. I cried for the suffering you had to go through to deliver Cindy. For me, you not being able to have more children was not as important as your health and that precious girl we created. That was the first and only time that you and I created another human being. I think we did good. The next few years, we both focused on Cindy's firsts: smile, word, steps, kiss, tinkle in the potty, and on and on. It seemed like she had a new first something or other daily. I hurried home from work every day just to find out what new milestone and development she had conquered. Those were the happiest years of our marriage to me. Me too, Troy. And we can have happy moments again. Let me go, and let me show you how much I appreciate all you have done for me and for our daughter. I won't tell anyone. I ignored what she said. I remember your first promotion, your first late nights at work, and then your first work trip with your boss, where you cheated on me with another man. When I found out, it was the first time my heart was truly broken. I didn't know what to do and felt completely lost. For the first time since we got married, I was alone. I'm still here for you, Troy. But you don't have to do anything except let me go. Troy, I promise I will make things right. I will quit my job. I will sue Randolph for sexual harassment. Anything you want me to do to make it right, I'll do it. Make it right. You can't make a wrong thing right. Cheating is not like a bent nail where you can hammer it back straight so it can be used again. Then I'll let you get even. I give you permission to have any woman you want, and I won't hold it against you. What about that? Me doing something wrong in response to you doing something wrong does not make things even. It means that we have done two wrong things between us. It worries me when you say you wouldn't hold it against me to screw another woman. If you don't care about me fooling around with other women, that could only mean you have the point of view that it's okay for all married people to cheat on each other. You just were the first of the two of us to do that, and now you are waiting for me to catch up. Once I do that, then you get to go again with another man. No, I just want to get things back to where they were in our marriage before I made my stupid mistake. I don't believe it was a mistake. I believe you and your boss have been doing the dirty together for some time. The only mistake you really think you made was getting caught. Troy, how can you believe that nonsense? Easy, Randolph told me. What? When did you talk to him? Just a while ago. I can't believe you didn't hear him when he screamed. It's amazing what some electrodes to the testicles can do to encourage a man to talk. After a couple of jolts, he spilled the beans. Your weekend trip was not the first time. And until I found out, it wasn't going to be the last time. Okay, I lied, but I did it to protect your feelings and to keep our marriage intact for our daughter's sake. Normally, a divorce would mean I'd get primary custody, alimony, and child support. If you need to divorce me, how about I agree to any terms you want for Cindy's custody, as long as it's not full custody. I'll sign whatever papers you prepare. Just let me and my boss go. There's one big thing I can't figure out. When did you start lying to me? I don't know the exact time, but I do know you haven't stopped since. Troy, if you won't come to a reasonable agreement, I'll fight you over custody and the division of assets. You'll end up losing a lot more than if you had just forgiven me. I figured that out, so I came up with a plan to get custody and keep all the assets. He had a smirk on his face, and Connie quickly understood what he meant. You couldn't, she said. The law doesn't care if it's your first time killing someone. They'll still prosecute you, and then no one will be free or have Cindy. You're wrong about one thing, Connie, he said. Killing you won't be the first time I've killed someone. Connie started to cry, realizing for the first time how truly sorry she was for what she had done. Second story. I'm asking this honestly because I couldn't post on r/relationship_advice. So I'm here hoping for good advice. For some context, I'm a 23-year-old guy, and my girlfriend is also 23. We've had an on and off relationship for 2 years. It took a while for us to start dating because she wanted to wait. We went to the same college, and eventually, she agreed to date. 6 months later, she broke up with me when she went to Europe to study abroad. While I stayed in the US, she said it was partly because she was unhappy and partly because of the temptations at the club. After that, we got back together when we were both back in the US, And things were great until we broke up again because she was moving to the East Coast and I was staying on the West Coast. We thought breaking up was the right decision. But then we got back together and tried long distance. It was going well, and we visited each other once. Recently, about 2 months into the long distance relationship, she called me and said that she drunkenly made out with a guy at a bar the night before. She's sorry, regrets it, and says it won't happen again. I'm very in love with her and saw a future together, so I broke up with her right away. But now, I can't stop thinking I might have made a mistake. We have a shaky past, and there are red flags given her recent move and what happened. I really love her. What reasons do I have to consider giving her a second chance?